minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Seconds till broadcast. Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Welcome into the Voice of Reason. It is a Tuesday. Great to have you along for the ride today. I thinketh that some of the news sources that used to be somewhat conservative ain't so conservative anymore. What do you think?
It is totally absurd.
I would have to agree with that. Welcome in, Braga, here on the flagship station of the Big Talker KQAM in Wichita, Kansas. All over the country on radio, TV, live streaming on social media with the live video feeds that we have on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. Also, the audio on Podbean as well with the live stream we have going on there. You can also check us out at HoosierReason.com. And you can always find us there. Shoot us an email, sign up for the newsletter, all that good jazz. We have a heck of a show for you today. So we have the headline on Drudge Report right now that Donald Trump was abused by his father, according to Mary. Niece exposes the dynasty, the family coming down on Trump. Is this now? I thought at first Drudge Report was somewhat of a conservative news outlet. This is strange to me. And they haven't been apparently very conservative, or they just went against Trump. I don't know what the deal was. If you remember back during the 2016 election, Donald Trump was very in favor with Drudge Report. Matt Drudge loved Donald Trump. It was all about Trump. That's all you heard about. That's all you talked about was Donald Trump. Now, the tide has turned. And now, Drudge Report going after Donald Trump. And everything's on there's negative. They're the ones that ran the story a while ago saying that he would potentially drop out of the race as well.
You are fake news.
I would have to agree with that one. All right, I want to get into it because we have a lot to get to today. We have Kanye West announcing his run for presidency, which we may touch on. Joy, we'll see how that one pans out. We have the stock market, COVID-19, the shutdown, the pandemic, and the concern about a secondary outbreak. What's the market looking like? How are we going to come back from this? Will the economy be able to rebound from this? I do want to talk about all that and more with our next guest, which I'm so excited about. He is a public policy analyst, along with economics expert and professor of finance at Stockton University in New Jersey. We've had him on the show a couple times before. He's also a featured columnist at Newsmax, The Hill, Western Journal, and townhall.com. It's Dr. Michael Busler on with us here. Doctor, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Andy. Thanks for having me. As you know, it's my pleasure to be here.
It is always great to have you on the program, and it's such a crazy time right now with this virus. The shutdown that we had a few months ago, the attempted reopening that we're trying now. Now we see states beginning to close up again slightly. Are we out of this, or are we going to see a prolonged COVID-19? First, I guess the question is this still the first outbreak, or is this a secondary outbreak where people are beginning to get hesitant and draw back just a bit again?
Well, so it's a little hard to tell. I think this is really part of the first wave. And states like New York and New Jersey and Illinois, South now, Florida, Texas, even Southern California. So they are seeing a large number of cases. The number of cases is increasing. What's interesting is the hospitalization rate is going down and the death rate is going way down. Mm-hmm. Now that probably means it could be a couple things. One, it could mean that younger people are now getting the disease, and with all the testing, they're now finding out that they have it, and younger people are able to handle this much better. What we're hoping for is that really the virus is just kind of running its course. And as that happens, you're going to see the strength of the virus weaken, and that appears to be the case now.
That would be good news. We talked to a doctor yesterday about some of the, not only the mental issues of it, the mental health issues of it, but also just the herd immunization, the herd antibodies, and being able to get the antibodies, be able to fight this off and adapt it to the virus, which is good news. But why the scare now if we're beginning to re-shut down the economy? We see Florida shutting down things. We see Texas shutting down bars and restaurants again. The economy's already been through enough, and if death rates and if hospitalizations are going down, why are we getting panicky about a secondary uprising of increase in numbers and shut down the economy and harm everything again?
That's a good question. I guess they want to be safe, but as you point out, by shutting down the economy, you end up causing a lot of other health issues. You'll see drug abuse go up, alcohol abuse go up. Anxiety and depression have already gone up. Eventually, you'll start to see things like suicide go up. So it's very difficult walking a fine line between opening the economy and trying to keep the disease down. With regards to the economy, which I know more about than the medical end of this, I'm very optimistic about the economy. So the consensus view is that the recovery from the recession, and let's look at the recession, it started at the end of February and I think ended on May 1st. And the economy has begun to recover in May. The consensus view by the vast majority of the economists, which I don't agree with, but the vast majority of economists say we're looking at a U-shaped recovery. So what does that mean? The economy went down fairly hard. It's going to struggle on the bottom for a little while and then slowly start to come back. So the growth is shaped in a U. President Trump, who I agree with, says that we're free. So what does that mean? But instead of languishing in a slow spot and taking a long time to recover, on May 1st, the recovery started, and it looks like it's relatively robust. Now, why do I say that? In the month of April, we'd added 2.5 million jobs, which was a record for the number of jobs added. In May, we added 4.8 million jobs, which almost doubled the record. So May is showing that the economy is starting up again. 4.8 million people have been brought back. Also in May, excuse me, retail sales increased 18% in 1 month, by far a record. And total consumer spending, consumption, which is retail sales and a bunch of other things, increased at 8%, which is also a record. So it looks like the economy is rebounding well. The numbers from May and early June, the job numbers in June, all look to be very strong. I think the economy will recover very quickly. Now, it'll be hampered a little bit because we are going to start to slow some things down somewhat. However, the manufacturing sector is picking up significantly in July. All the car companies, for instance, have gone to full production on July 1st. That means they're bringing all their workers back. So I think the recovery will be V-shaped. Another reason why is the federal government passed a massive number of stimulus bills, and they're both good and bad. But on the good side, it pumped money into the economy. What did they do? So virtually every adult who filed taxes last year or the year before got $1,200. A family of four got $3,400, whether you were negatively impacted by the coronavirus or not.
Sure.
So all that extra spending consumers have. Additionally, there were tens of millions of people laid off. They went to their state to get unemployment compensation. Typically, that's about 75 to 80% of your normal income. However, Congress added $600 a week to that, at least until the end of July. That meant that a little more than two-thirds of the unemployed people are making more money being bad. But on the good side, it provided more money for them to spend. As the economy is opening up, it looks like they're going to spend that. And the last thing is, in the stimulus, they gave money to business. They lent money to business to have them stay in business and keep their employees. If they didn't lay anybody off, the loan turns into a grant, and they don't have to repay it. So businesses are now ready for the demand. As we open up, consumers are ready to spend. We saw that in May. So I think the recovery is going to come back much quicker. The Federal Reserve says the unemployment rate won't get under 10% until the end of the year. I think it'll be under 10% by next month or the month after. It's already down to 11.1%. Mm-hmm. By next month, or again the month after, it may be down under 10%. I think the recovery looks very, very strong.
There's so many directions to go there, and it's such good news to hear that things are on the uptick and that you're predicting things to be very, very good here in the next few months. And President Trump's been saying the same thing, because this reminds me of kind of like when he first got elected, where he said the economy was going to boom, and just the mindset of having him be elected before he's even done a tax cut in his first term, that the economy skyrocketed because people saw the potential of having tax cuts and deregulation, and just him being in office itself just boosted the economy. And we saw that as an immediate effect. So I see kind of the same thing coming out of this virus. Now, on the other hand, Joe Biden came out and said that the jobs that have been created, which was a shock to the market because it dropped from 13% unemployment down to 11% unemployment just like that. According to him, he said that the jobs that were created were the easy jobs to be created, and that it was going to be a really, really tough road thereafter, and that he wouldn't be able to gain back all those jobs or boost the economy as he did before, because that was just the easy part of it. Is that true, or do we actually see some quick positive growth here in the shortcomings?
No. So almost half of the jobs that were created last month, about 40% of the jobs, were in the hospitality industry. So all those restaurants that were closed down, I live at in southern New Jersey, along the southern New Jersey shore. Everything continues to be shut down here. But those things are now reopening, creating a lot of hospitality jobs. Roughly 500,000 of those jobs were in the manufacturing sector. So these are not, I'm not sure what the definition of easy jobs would be, but these are jobs where people were doing very well before the virus hit. They're coming back now, and these jobs will continue as people are working, having more money to spend. They'll have a rippling effect on the economy. And I disagree completely with Vice President Biden. I think even next month, I think you're looking at probably another 2 million jobs being created in the month of June. So I think we're going to come back relatively quickly. Now, one of the criticisms to me is, yeah, you're creating a lot of jobs, but look, you lost a lot. That's why you're creating them. Right. And that's partially true. However, it's the speed at which the jobs are coming back that the difference is here. Remember, during the recession that ended in 2009, it took 4 years to get back to the level we were before the recession. Now we're seeing in the last month or two jobs coming back very quickly, and I think that's going to continue. And again, I predict that V-shaped recovery. I don't agree with Vice President Biden at all.
Sure. That'll be really nice. We got about 20 seconds here until we got to take a break. So when we come back, I want to ask you a couple other things to divulge deeper into that about the stock market and how many investors are kind of looking at this on whether they should start investing again as the economy begins to slowly uptick. And with the amount of spending that we've had at the federal level and the trillions of dollars that we spent on this COVID relief, is that going to affect the economy with just printing massive amounts of money? I want to do all that when we come back here. We're talking with Dr. Michael Busler. He is political analyst, also economics and expert and professor of finance at Stockton University in New Jersey. We got a lot to get to when we come back. It's the Voice of Reason. It's a Tuesday right here. Don't go anywhere.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosier-holic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. For a schedule of upcoming guests on the program, daily show topics, or to reach out to the Hoosier Media Network, visit us on the website at HoosierReason.com. Or for general inquiries, to be a guest on the program, or to have Andy a guest on your program, email us at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Keep fighting for freedom with us every day right here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network. Now, back to the show.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
What a crazy time we live in. I have to say, between like Kanye West running for president, between a virus shutdown of the nation, between Joe Biden staying in his basement, between, I don't know, there's just some weird, funky things going on in the world right now. I still think that we're living in the Twilight Zone. What do you say? Yeah, say. Welcome back in, radio, TV, online streaming, wherever you may be. Appreciate you hanging out with us today on a Tuesday. Do me a favor, if you're watching us on social media, share us. We're on the video stream with Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that. We are on there. You can share it. You can comment. You can say howdy. You can also visit us at HoosierReason.com. Watch the live stream there as well. And the podcasts are on there as well, too, so you can just listen to it right from the website. And we have some really, really, really cool things that are in the works that are coming very soon. So stay tuned in as we are working on some really neat projects with the program. All right, we have another segment here with Dr. Michael Busler. He is a public policy analyst, also economics expert and professor of finance at Stockton University in New Jersey. You can also see a lot of his columns on Newsmax, The Hill, and townhall.com, talking about the economy and the stock market and this COVID-19 craziness that we have right now. So let's ask first, I want to ask, this has always been a bother to me. I cringe every time I hear about the national debt, and with a $3 trillion bailout package, we did the first round, potentially another one, it sounds like, with between $1 to $2 trillion additionally for a second round of relief. The printing of the money, the devaluing of the dollar, is this going to affect the economy, and is this going to affect the stock market with our recovery here in the next few months and over the next couple of years?
The answer is yes. So in the first segment, I mentioned about the stimulus packages that the federal government passed. I said they're good and bad. Good, it stimulates the economy. It's going to make the recovery very quick and the V shape that we're talking about. It's bad because prior to the coronavirus, the federal government had a deficit of $1 trillion for this year. The federal government spent $3 trillion more that we don't have, so now the deficit is up to $4 trillion for this year. In addition, tax revenue is going to go down because the economy was nearly completely shut down for 6 weeks, and it's still not completely reopened. So we're looking at a $4 to $5 trillion deficit in 1 year. Now, Is that bad? Well, prior to this year, the total public debt, which is all the deficits over time, is a total of $23 trillion. So we're going to add 4 or 5 more to it. That'll take us up to $28 trillion. Now, it sounds like a lot of money, and it certainly is. So economists say if the public debt is less than 1 year's GDP, you're probably okay. If it goes over 1 year's GDP, that'll create problems. This year's GDP will be in the 20 million, maybe 20 trillion rather, maybe 21 trillion. The debt is up to 27 trillion. So it is a huge problem. It could be very inflationary in the future. The other thing is that the interest on that debt already is up to 400 to 500 billion dollars a year, which is about 15% of government spending. So we're spending a lot of money on the debt. It's going to crowd business out of markets because the Federal Reserve's got to sell bonds, and there might not be enough capital available when corporations go to sell bonds. So that's an issue, too. Because of the deficit, I would not pass any more stimulus at this time. Now, President Trump's in a difficult position. Politically, he's got an election to win. Politically, another round of stimulus will help him. It'll get the economy growing even faster than what I think. The Democrats and Republicans seem to both be on board with doing this. So politically, in the short term, I think it's good for them.
But economically, we can't. Doctor, we're out of time here, but you're right. I mean, it's going to be devastating if we go even further into, which is already going to have an impact on us. We got to get you back on the show again soon because there's a lot of information. We appreciate the time very much, my friend.
My pleasure.
Hey, absolutely. That's Dr. Michael Busler right there. We'll definitely get him back on the program. Such great information, the stock market and the economy. Lots more coming up. Stay here.
With Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hoosier Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hoosier Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hoosier Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yes, you are. Welcome into it. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Great to have you for the ride today. Doing the thing, cramming 10 pounds of reason into a 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time. Why? Because we can. That's right. Welcome in all over radio, TV, live streaming on social media, all over the country. We appreciate you hanging out no matter where you may be or just downloading the podcast. So I got a message during the break from a listener on Facebook Live. So if you're watching or if you want to watch the live video feeds, you can on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, all that good jazz. The fact that Facebook didn't notify the followers that like to watch the show on there until like a half hour into the program, which may be why some of the numbers are a little bit lower than normally than what we have. It's a trend on the show, so that's strange. So if you see it on there, do me a favor and leave a comment and say hi, and then share it onto your page to kind of break that algorithm a little bit and boost it up, because I don't know what's going on. It's weird that it's not notifying you until like 20 minutes. Oh, yeah, by the way, it's on. But welcome to social media, trying to silence the conservative message. We are on Podbean, live streaming there as well, so no matter where you may be, we are there for you. Thanks again to Dr. Michael Busler coming on the program the last half hour, talking about the economy, the stock market, the rebound. His prediction that the economy will rebound quicker than what the other experts are predicting, or it's going to be like a couple of years and it's going to take a while. No, it'll be back in a few months. And again, that reminds me of what happened during the Trump election in 2016. As soon as he got elected, bam, baby, the market shot up. The stock market, massive increases, record amounts of growth in one day. If you remember those headlines, the media tried to downplay them. And, well, it was the effects of the Obama economy, and it was the effects of whatever. He's not even in office yet. He didn't even do a tax cut yet. But they obviously don't understand the mentality of business owners that are saying, oh my gosh, finally someone who's actually going to cut regulation, do tax cuts, and we're going to grow. And they started investing and growing and expanding before he even did anything. And they know that as soon as we begin to reopen, then it's going to be all out and it's going to be fair game again. So, of course, the economy is going to grow faster than what the experts are saying because they want to downplay it. Trump's not going to be able to recover this. Remember Barack Obama? He can't bring back them jobs again, them manufacturing jobs. It's the same story. Trump's going to be able to grow it again. It's just when is going to be the right time? That's the question. The secondary outbreak, the prolonged first outbreak, whatever the heck you want to call this, it's just going to be kind of lingering to see. But as soon as we know, then boom, it's going to grow and take off, and it's going to be awesome. All right, I want to shift gears just a little bit. As you know, just a few months ago, we ended up moving from Ohio back to our flagship here in Wichita, Kansas, and KQAM Radio. And I spent some time back where I grew up and near the college area where I went to at Bowling Green State University, and being part of the politics in the family and getting involved back there. Well, as soon as I leave, of course, it has to happen because it couldn't happen when I was there. Had to happen right afterwards. But if anybody has been following, and it hit some national news for a while, that one third of the city council for the city of Toledo, which if you're not familiar with the city of Toledo, Ohio, it's roughly about the size of a Wichita, Kansas. It is right up in the northwest corner of the state, and it's a pretty city, but it's run predominantly by left-wing Democrats. And the news came out that a third of the city council for the city of Toledo got busted from a federal investigation for bribery and extortion charges. Now, it's not just like one or two individuals, but it's a massive chunk of the city council. Then I see a story today on ABC News that the Toledo City Council president adjourned the meeting early today because 3 of the council members who are facing the federal bribery and extortion charges refused to remove themselves from the proceedings of the weekly meeting. So they ended the meeting because they're not supposed to be there because they're under investigation for bribery and extortion, and they refuse to leave. This is the mentality of these individuals. So I figured we had to bring somebody on to talk about what's actually going on there, because you want to talk about something fun for election time. Talk about a Democrat party that's corrupt enough to ruin almost half of a city council in a decently large city. So he is the spokesperson for the Lucas County Young Republicans up there in the Toledo area. We're really excited to have on here Josh Culling with us here. Josh, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you coming on. It's interesting to see how large this corruption actually goes. So real quickly, give us a kind of a breakdown of what actually happened here and the charges of bribery and extortion. What was going on in the Toledo City Council?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, it was a big shock to anyone who watches city government or anyone who watches local government around the state of Ohio. This came out of absolute nowhere. The middle of last week, 4 members of council, that's, as you said, 1/3 of our entire council, which is 11 Democrats and 1 Republican, and 1 Democratic lawyer / fundraiser in town were all taken into custody by the FBI for extortion and bribery. So they were taking $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 at a time from local business owners for things like permitting, liquor licenses, denying permits for competitors of these businesses that were bribing these elected officials. And it really a sad day for our city. It brought a lot of what we knew was kind of happening into the light in a very embarrassing way. And, you know, people in Toledo are kind of used to having bad headlines nationally about our city, unfortunately, and this is another one. But, you know, we see an opportunity to get some competition in city politics here. I mean, as a young Republican in the Toledo area, I've been telling people if we don't capitalize on this, then we're destined to be a one-party city forever. So, you know, I think it's relevant to people around the country, because I think a lot of these mid-sized cities, we're about 300,000 people in Toledo, not small, but sort of off the radar.
Sure.
This stuff can happen without the public knowing about it. So I think that it's probably a much more widespread problem than just our town in Northwest Ohio.
It's crazy the fact that, and as you mentioned, I mean, Democrats have been kind of running it for a while. Give us a little background on the Toledo area, because for some of our listeners not in that area, because Democrats have kind of been rampant in that place for a long time, whether it's the unions, whether it's just the politics mentality. I don't know what it is, but I mean, Republicans have had a very difficult time trying to get a stronghold within the city and the county in that area.
Yeah. So last Republican mayor, 1989. We've had a few independent mayors who are sort of centrist, but really for the last 20 years, to not be a Democrat and get elected citywide, you've got to run as an independent, and you've got to really work closely with the unions. We're a big labor town, and you know, a lot of auto workers, a lot of steel workers, and you know, we're not what we're looking for. I think as a Republican Party in a city like this, blue collar, Rust Belt, a lot of sort of Obama-Trump voters, culturally conservative union folks that traditionally voted Democrat but don't really align with where the Democratic Party is today. We're not looking for right-wing Ted Cruz type Republicans in the city, and I say that with all due respect and a lot of admiration for Ted Cruz personally.
Sure.
But we need folks that can we need to focus really on transparency, ending corruption, ending things like city employees double dipping, steering campaign cash to the pockets of city and county employees, and accountability to voters. I think that that's what we're really going to be running candidates on. And then the rest will take care of itself. If we can root out the corruption, which has been thrust into the daylight with the FBI sting last week, then we can have an honest conversation about, okay, how are we budgeting in the city? What's our tax burden look like? How are we regulating local businesses so that we don't need small businesses to come with $5,000 to a restaurant parking lot and dump a duffel bag of cash at the feet of a councilman to get stuff done? We can actually have a business climate that fosters growth and brings our city back to where it was 50 years ago.
Well, yeah, and we wonder why business didn't grow there and why that city's been kind of stagnant for so long. So what happens now with the city council? Is obviously with the story today, they ended the city council meeting very abruptly because those members didn't actually leave. But can they actually do anything? Can they still operate? And what's the next step for the city council to begin rebuilding, I guess, before election time?
Yeah, there's a kind of a debate going on right now about what the next step is. You've got a lot of pressure on these 4 members of council, all Democrats, from a lot of Democratic Party leaders. To their credit, our mayor, the president of council, a number of other folks have called on them to resign, but they're kind of digging in their heels. As you mentioned, there was the first council meeting since the sting took place this afternoon. It was a voting meeting of council on some pretty important issues related to COVID, mask mandates, and ironically, ethics legislation. And at the beginning of the meeting, which was held via Zoom, the president of council asked them to leave, and they refused, so he adjourned the meeting. So really not a great look, really kind of embarrassing, frankly. I kind of feel like everyone's acting like petulant children. But, what happens next, there could be recalls of these folks. That's petition-driven, where we would get a recall on the ballot. They could choose to ride it out. They could get convicted, which I think it seems likely, and then they would more or less be forced to resign. So we're kind of waiting and seeing. But there's a remarkable lack of contrition from these folks. They claim they've done absolutely nothing wrong. The FBI claims they have it on video and audio. The more that trickles out, the worse it looks for them. I mean, the funny story is Tyrone Riley, one of the arrested Democrat councilmen. He went to lunch with a gas station owner who wanted a curb cut in his property to improve traffic flow. The gas station owner paid for lunch, and once Tyrone was aware that he was paying for lunch, he ordered prime rib and carrot cake to go for a second meal on the gas station owner's tab, in addition to a couple $1,000s in a duffel bag in the parking lot afterwards. So pretty wild stuff. It reminds me of the city of Baltimore in the show The Wire on HBO. I don't know if you've seen it, but the corruption is certainly at a Hollywood level at this point. Wow,
what a mess. Josh Culling, Lucas County Young Republicans, I appreciate the update there, my friend. Keep it up, and as you said, opportunity for us to maybe clean house and get some Republicans in to begin slowly the transformation there. We appreciate the time, brother.
Yes, you too. Thank you very much.
Hey, absolutely. All right, we'll take a break. We'll wrap up the show today on a Tuesday. We got to cover a few things. Getting ready for the next couple days. We got some great guests for you. We'll talk about that when we come back. Plus, we'll get your thoughts on everything we've talked about and more here on The Voice of Reason. Stay tuned.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hoosier Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hoosier Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HoosierReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HoosierReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HoosierMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HoosierReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hoosier Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HoosierReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hoosierholic by going to HoosierReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hoosier Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HoosierReason.com. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HoosierReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hoosierholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hoosier.
Yeah, buddy, welcome into it. Wrapping up the program today. It goes by so fast, doesn't it? It's just here and then it's gone. Fastest hour of radio, in radio, all over the place. The Voice of Reason, welcome into it. Great to have you today, no matter where you may be. Thanks again to our guest today, Josh Culling. It's crazy. This is exactly why people are fed up with politics. When you hear about, oh, typical politician, you got to pay to play. And I guess it's somewhat typical. I guess that stuff happens on somewhat frequent occasion, as you have to, you want the curb to be done better for your business. Oh, well, you got to take me to dinner. And by the way, leave a bag of cash in the car. And then we'll take a look and we'll discuss this in a matter. Is it crazy? I mean, I know that happens all over the place. Not just in the U.S. either, but all over the country. But the fact that it happens in our country, we're supposed to be not happening. That's why people want to leave. There's a headline of thehill.com, Americans leave large cities for suburban areas and rural towns. People are tired of it. Between the corruption, between not feeling properly represented, between the protests and the riots that are going on, between defunding of law enforcement, I think people are just kind of fed up. Now, I warn you, please don't come to rural communities. We don't want you. Because, first off, you don't know how to properly live in the country, and don't try and corrupt us with your shenanigans. That's what happened with California going all over the place with Arizona and Colorado. And, we don't like California anymore. We're going to go to Arizona. And then you end up voting the same way. If you do the same thing over and over and over and you expect a different result, what does that say about you? Something like, yeah, okay. Don't do that. Understand that we like our freedom. There's a big difference. I mean, the perfect example of that was the cities that don't allow fireworks as compared to small communities that allow any type of firework that you want to shoot them off as long as you want. Big difference there, right? I know it's kind of dumb, but big comparison. Apples and oranges. We don't want your mentality from the city to come to us just because a couple things made you upset that you didn't like, but you like everything else that goes on in the city. It's crazy, but I see this as an opportunity because I've always said, just like the Republican Party, when the Republican Party does something that we don't like, there's always an opportunity to fix it. We can run for office. We can get engaged. I mean, look at that. The young Republicans, young Republican groups are popping up all over the country. College Republicans, the same thing. Getting involved with your county party to make sure your local elected officials are not corrupt and do stupid things. There's a huge opportunity for that all over the country. And that's really what we do, because Republicans do predominantly well when it comes to local elections and statewide elections. That's why the last I saw, which I haven't looked at the numbers in a while, but the last I saw, like 3/4 of the governors in the nation were Republican. 3/4 of like the state legislatures across the nation were Republican led with Republican majorities, because we do well with the grassroots campaigning. We like the local activism because we know we have control over it. And Republicans do very poorly at the federal level because we like to organize in such small groups because we're so independently strong that we don't know how to collaborate really together in order to do a big national push. We make it happen on occasion, but we do very poorly on national elections because we can't rally the troops, because we always end up going into the firing squad. Libertarians go to the extreme of that. Libertarians can't even get local candidates because their spectrum of ideology is so wide that they can't agree on anything. So they can't agree on a candidate at all. And they end up shooting themselves in the foot. Democrats, however, they love the centralized power. They love everything being unified in one big major. That's why they do so well at the federal level. That's why their messaging from the federal level and the DNC is so productive and so well for them. Why they can attack so, I mean, they have the media on their side as well, but they message so well at the federal level. At the state level and the local level, if you try and go and you talk about socialism, it doesn't work too well. In some places it does when it's bigger areas. We had the city councilwoman in Denver that just got elected a couple years ago that talked about communism and how no one should have private property. So it happens. It's just not as accepted usually at the local level. And even state level, it's very difficult depending on states and depending on how big your populations actually are. So this is an opportunity. With cities that are seeing bribery and extortion and corruption going on within their city council or their county commission or whatever it may be in your areas, there's an opportunity for us to really start taking it back. And he's absolutely right. It doesn't have to be the extreme Ted Cruz conservative firebrand. It can be the baby steps to get in a moderate, which you and I usually don't agree with a moderate. But you know what? It's better than what they have then. And then you can slowly swing that pendulum the other direction. I'm always the optimist. We always see an opportunity there. And I think we can continue to do that all over the nation. When we focus on the local and the grassroots campaigning again, then we can start working to really make the states get back to normalcy, even during this whole COVID craziness. That about does it for us today. By the way, a little tease for your radio tease coming up on Friday. Newt Gingrich, former Speaker of the House, he'll be joining us on the program. Really excited to chat with him, plus the other great guests we have the next few days, so make sure to stay tuned in for that. Until then, you are your own voice of reason. Everybody have a great Tuesday afternoon. This is the Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hoosier. Hey, it's Andy Hoosier with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HoosierReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.